1 year after this teen disappeared near her home, a woman found a disturbing photo in a parking lot. One September morning, a 19-year-old woman disappears while cycling along a New Mexico road. Then, a year later, a mysterious Polaroid is discovered in a parking lot 1,500 miles away. What do these two strange events have in common? And what really happened to Tara Calico that fateful day? Tara was born on February 28, 1969, and spent her childhood in Belen, a small town in Valencia County, New Mexico. Along with two brothers, Todd and Chris, she grew up riding bikes and playing outdoors. Then, when she was about 6, her mother, Patty, married one John Doel, and two stepsisters joined the growing family. As reported by family and friends, Tara was a feisty girl who grew into a friendly, popular teenager. A keen student, she began taking courses at the University of New Mexico's Valencia campus while still attending high school. Then, after graduation, she enrolled there as a sophomore, and though she was not yet 20, she already had plans to begin a career in psychology. By all accounts, Tara was an intelligent, dedicated, and selfless young woman. Her mother said she regularly gave blood, for instance, and she was always the one to organize family events. All in all, she was a girl who seemed to have her whole life ahead of her, and she was likely looking forward to a promising future. However, on September 20th, 1988, Tara disappeared. By that time, she was 19 years old and had just started her second year of college. Crucially, she was also in the habit of taking her bicycle out for a daily spin along New Mexico State Route 47, a highway that runs through Valencia County. Previously, Tara and her mom, Patty, had enjoyed spending time cycling the route together. However, Patty had, at the time, recently become concerned about the habit, believing that a car was following them. In fact, she even went so far as to advise her daughter to carry mace. But perhaps, unfortunately, Tara refused. That day, the teenager had made plans to meet her boyfriend for a tennis match at 12:30 p.m. before attending an afternoon class at 4 p.m. At 9:30 a.m., then she set out on her daily ride as usual, and determined to keep her schedule, she asked Patty to come looking for her if she hadn't returned by noon. Apparently, even a flat tire couldn't stop Tara from enjoying her daily bicycle. Instead, she borrowed her mother's bike, a bright one with yellow cables, and on this somewhat noticeable vehicle, she was spotted some 2 miles from her home at around 11:45 a.m. When Tara subsequently didn't return home, Patty set out looking for her daughter, expecting to pass her somewhere along the road. But mysteriously, Tara was nowhere to be seen. So after tracing the route 2 times and phoning the hospital, Patty decided to contact the police. For the next 2 weeks, authorities conducted an extensive search for Tara. The local and state police had the help of hundreds of volunteers and even military units in the hunt for the missing girl. Yet sadly, despite combing the area by road and horseback as well as from the sky, they were unable to locate her. However, the teenager hadn't quite vanished into thin air. Around 3 miles from Tara's home, Patty found one of her daughter's cassette tapes, which had been discarded at the side of the road. Nearby, a part of Tara's portable cassette player was also found. Even more intriguingly, a set of bike tracks was discovered in the vicinity. Leading off from the sidewalk, they indicated that the rider had left the road at a soft shoulder. Were these things evidence of Tara's last moments before her disappearance? Subsequently, investigators found yet another part of Tara's cassette player, this time close to a remote campsite 19 miles east of the highway. Soon then, Patty began to believe that her daughter was deliberately leaving a trail. Meanwhile, witnesses came forward claiming to have seen the young woman being followed by a pale-colored pickup truck kitted out with a camper shell. But despite these clues, authorities were stumped. Then, on June 15, 1989, 9 months after Tara's disappearance, a woman made a macabre discovery. It happened in a Florida parking lot, a whole 1,500 miles away from where the New Mexico teenager had been last seen. The woman had arrived at a convenience store in Port St. Joe, Florida, and seen a white Toyota van parked in the lot. Later, after the van had left, she discovered a Polaroid photograph in the empty space, and shockingly, it showed a boy and a young woman both bound and gagged in the back of a white van. Concerned, the woman notified police, who then set up roadblocks in hopes of catching the driver. However, the man, said to be in his 30s and sporting a mustache, was never found. Then the following month, the photograph was featured on A Current Affair, a U.S. television news show. Coincidentally, moreover, some friends of Patty's were watching, and they decided that the young woman in the Polaroid bore a striking resemblance to Tara. After subsequently learning of the photograph from her friends, even Patty became convinced that it depicted her missing daughter. Apparently, the young woman in the Polaroid bore a scar identical to Tara's. She could also be seen alongside a copy of My Sweet Audrina by V.C. Andrews, a book that Patty said was among her daughter's favorites. What's more, according to specialists from Polaroid, the photograph could not have been taken any earlier than May 1989, and yet hopes were then dampened by the experience of another New Mexico family, the Henleys. You see, although they initially believed that the boy in the picture was their missing son, Michael, his body was later found just 7 miles from where he had disappeared. Consequently, the police believed that he had simply wandered off and died from exposure. Over the years, Tara's family have, furthermore, been shown many other photographs, identifying just 2 other Polaroids as potentially showing the missing woman. No arrests have ever been made though, and Patty is no closer to finding out what happened to her daughter all those years ago. Still, despite the lack of evidence, Valencia County Sheriff Rene Rivera believes that he knows the truth. According to his theory, a group of boys in a truck approached Tara as she cycled along the road and somehow caused a fatal accident. Rivera theorizes that in an attempt to conceal the crime, the boys then disposed of the body. However, without any arrests, the case remains open, and Tara's family still cling to hope that she might one day return. Please share this video with your friends below.